seen now, it looks like the progressives are going to give in, and they're going to give Manchin, Sinema, Biden, and Pelosi the vote that they want on the corporate-backed infrastructure bill, and they're going to pass their version of the Build Back Better bill, but there with no guarantees that it's going to pass the Senate. We think that is a surrender. We think that is a terrible deal. And Manchin has said he might vote no anyway, despite progressives giving them everything they wanted. So now you guys know that, you've seen the details of it, we've covered it. Now the question is, is there anything they could do about it? Well, this is where bad leaders would tell you, oh, well, golly gee, there was nothing we could do. Well, so I want to be constructive here, right? And if you're gonna have critique, you should have an answer for what the alternative is. So here's the alternative. You do correct planning and strategy. So 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, even 2 weeks ago, what you say is, here are my red lines, and I am not under any circumstance moving off those red lines. Now you have to, but you can't bluff, it has to be real. And you have to be willing to sink the bill or go back into another set of painful negotiations. And if you say, well, I'm not willing to do that, well, then you're gonna lose. That's just how negotiations work. If you say ahead of time, you signal that you'll give the other side everything they want, they'll just take it all. So if someone really strong had won in Congress, like say Nina Turner, what she could have done is just pull 2 other progressives. They just need 3 progressive votes in the House, that's it. And say, these are our red lines, and there's no way in the world we're gonna move off of them. But guys, you have to be realistic and practical. You can't say everything's your red line, but pick 2 giant ones that got negotiated away that are incredibly popular, like lowering drug prices, 88% popularity, paid family leave, over 70% popularity. If you can't win on those, you can't win on anything. So you draw your red lines. Now that first part's fairly obvious. The second part is the part that current day progressives apparently cannot do and will not do, but need to do. And it's gonna freak them out when I tell you this. It's not gonna freak any of you out. You have to play hardball. And so if I was in those negotiations, I would hope that if Nina was in those negotiations, what she would do, well, let me just speak for myself. What I would do is I would go in and say, Senator Manchin, I know we're cordial and we're friends, and I'm happy to go out to lunch with you anytime you want, et cetera. But within this room, we're gonna do negotiation for our voters. So you're gonna have to deal with me as it is, okay? And what I'm telling you is, we're gonna give you your bill, the infrastructure bill that you planned out with corporations, and we want in return this bill. And if we don't get it, and you don't say yes to our red lines, it's okay. Everybody's free to do. You're a senator, I'm a senator, or whatever those circumstances are, okay? But what we're gonna do is destroy your reputation. And you might think, oh, that's not gonna work, or that's too rude, but I am going to do that. Every day, me and my allies, we're gonna take turns on the floor of the House or the floor of the Senate, and we're gonna tell people about your donors one by one. And we're gonna say you're the most corrupt senator that America has ever had. And we're gonna make you the poster child for corruption. Now already Bernie's out, Jayapal's out, they would never, ever, ever do that. In fact, the mere suggestion would offend them to their sensitive core, right? But guys, this is politics, and you don't play politics for fun, you play it so you can pass bills that affect people's lives. And you think Manchin wouldn't be affected by that? You're wrong. He would be deeply affected by that as long as you're not bluffing. And if he says, no, oh yeah, I am offended, I'm not gonna do the bill, then you start. On day one, you hit, you know he's the #1 recipient of coal, oil, and gas money? Now that should be obvious, probably a lot of you know it if you watch this show, but if you watch mainstream media, nobody knows it, right? And we're gonna outline your donors, then we're gonna move on to your own personal wealth and how you have it in coal and how you made $5 million and you've got another $5 million in wealth. And we're gonna embarrass you and embarrass you and embarrass you. If you sink our bill, we sink your career. That's actually hardball. Yes, it would definitely work. And if it didn't work with Manchin, after you obliterated his reputation and everyone in the country despised him, then when you turn to Sinema, she said, oh, whoa, okay, what do you need? What do you need? If you're not willing to do that, you're not a strong leader. And because you're worried about offending people you have personal friendships with or relationships with, instead you're hurting the voters because you're not willing to use something in your arsenal. The progressives in Congress, I've said it 1,000 times, I love them, but they've never called out corruption of Democratic colleagues. They started to a tiny bit around the edges on TV in this round. No, you have to be willing to say, he takes money from oil companies and he sold you out because of those legalized bribes. If you're not willing to say that, you have no leverage. And that's why you go around saying there's nothing I could do, and then Manchin wins and we lose. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.